The Chicago blizzard slammed against the windshield of the black Lincoln, turning the empty parking lot into a shifting wall of white. Snow swept across the asphalt in long, restless sheets. Streetlights flickered above the grocery carts lined up outside FreshMart, and every gust of wind made the metal rails rattle like something trying to warn the people inside. In the back seat of the Lincoln, Marcus Sterling sat completely still. The car was warm, silent, and expensive, but his hands were tight around a glowing tablet. On that screen, a hidden camera showed the automatic doors of FreshMart sliding open. A small boy stepped inside wearing a torn gray hoodie, soaked canvas shoes, and faded jeans that were frayed at the cuffs. The boy looked cold, hungry, and alone. Snow clung to his sleeves. His shoulders shook. He kept his face turned down, as if he already expected the world to push him away. Marcus leaned forward without breathing. Every instinct in him told him to get out of the car, cross that icy parking lot, and bring the boy back where it was safe. But he forced himself to stay in the seat. He had approved this test. He had planned every detail. He had placed security nearby and a medical team close enough to respond quickly. Still, the small figure on the tablet was not just part of an audit. That boy was Leo, his own son. Inside the store, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead with a cold, hard glare. The kind of light that made every tired face look more tired, every scuffed floor tile look cheaper, and every long hour feel longer than it should. Register number 4 beeped again and again, each scan falling into the same dull rhythm. Maya Evans slid a loaf of white bread across the scanner, then a carton of milk, then a bag of frozen vegetables. She placed each item into a thin plastic bag, careful not to crush the bread, careful not to make the customer wait, careful not to do anything that might draw attention. The customer did not look at her. He paid with his card, took the receipt, and walked away without saying a word. Maya still smiled. "Thank you. Have a good night." The words came out softly, out of habit more than hope. She had been standing for almost 10 hours. Her back ached between the shoulders. Her left knee had been throbbing since late afternoon. Her feet burned inside old sneakers that had lost their shape months ago. That morning, before leaving for work, she had folded pieces of cardboard and slipped them under the insoles, trying to give herself a little more cushion. It had not helped much. Her blue company polo was faded almost gray from too many washes. The collar had stretched. The fabric felt thin and tired, just like her. The FreshMart logo on her chest had started to unravel at the edge, one tiny thread hanging loose every time she moved. Every time the automatic doors opened, a bitter sweep of Chicago winter air rolled through the entrance and across the checkout lanes. It slid around Maya's ankles, found the thin place between her pants and socks, and climbed her legs with a cruel little bite. She shivered, then made herself stop shivering. Customers noticed weakness. Managers noticed anything they could use. Maya's stomach gave a quiet twist. She had eaten half of a cheap granola bar around noon. That had been her meal for the day. The other half was still wrapped in tissue inside her locker, saved in case the bus ride home took too long or the cold made her dizzy. Hunger had become something she managed the way she managed overdue bills. She acknowledged it, calculated around it, and kept moving. In her locker, folded inside the smallest pocket of her purse, she had $12. $2 had to be saved for the late bus home. $10 had to become groceries the next morning. Maybe a small bag of rice. Maybe eggs if they were on sale. Maybe a can of soup and a banana for Lily. But the number that truly haunted Maya was not 12. It was 140. That was the cost of a new albuterol inhaler for her 6-year-old daughter. Lily's inhaler sat on the kitchen shelf at home, lighter than it should have been. Maya had shaken it before leaving for work, listening for the sound that told her there was still medicine inside. There had been a little, not enough to feel safe. The night before, Lily had coughed for hours. Not a normal cough, a tight, rattling sound that seemed to catch deep in her chest. Maya had sat on the edge of the bed, one hand on Lily's back, counting each breath. She had watched her daughter's small shoulders rise and fall under a pink blanket printed with tiny stars. "Breathe, baby. Slow in easy. Mama's right here." Lily had tried to smile because she was the kind of child who worried about worrying her mother. That almost broke Maya more than the cough. This cashier job was not simply a job. It was the thin line between Maya and a hospital bill she could never pay. FreshMart's health insurance was basic and full of confusing limits. but it helped just enough to keep disaster from becoming permanent. Without it, every prescription became a mountain. Every doctor visit became a choice between medicine and rent. The pharmacist had warned her the week before that Lily's prescription needed to be renewed soon. He had lowered his voice when her card was declined and told her they could hold the inhaler for a few days. He had meant it kindly, but pity had a sharp edge. Maya had felt it cut through her coat, through her uniform, right down to the part of her that still wanted to feel proud. So she worked, she scanned, she bagged, she smiled, she swallowed hunger, pain, and frustration because Lily needed her to keep this job. Maya had learned that survival in FreshMart meant staying invisible. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not question a manager. Do not look too tired. Do not look too angry. Do not let anyone with power decide you are a problem. The automatic doors slid shut again, trapping the warmth inside for a few seconds. Then another kind of cold moved through the store. Richard Vance appeared near the front aisle with a silver clipboard pressed against his chest. He was the senior manager of this FreshMart branch, though he carried himself like a man commanding a battlefield. His gray suit pulled too tightly across his shoulders. His tie was stiff. His hair had been combed back with too much product. A black walkie-talkie sat clipped to his belt, and the heavy smell of cheap cologne reached Maya before he did. Sharp pine, artificial musk. Too much of both. Richard was 45 years old, but he had never outgrown the need to prove he mattered. He had the kind of insecurity that turned ordinary authority into cruelty. He managed schedules as if they were weapons. He reviewed inventory reports as if every missing apple was a personal insult. He spoke to employees as if fear were proof of respect. Tomorrow morning, corporate auditors were scheduled to arrive. Regional executives were coming to inspect the store, and Richard had been pacing all week like a storm trapped in a suit. Store number 84 had bad numbers. Inventory loss was too high. Employee turnover was embarrassing. Customer complaints had increased. Richard knew all of this, but he refused to ask why people were quitting, or why shelves were miscounted, or why the back room was always behind. He did not fix problems. He found people to blame. A teenage stock clerk named Aaron was stacking cans of tomato soup near the end of aisle 2. Richard stopped in front of him, looked at the display, and lifted one can between two fingers as if it were contaminated. "Does this look straight to you?" Aaron froze. "I can fix it, Mr. Vance. You should have fixed it before I saw it." His voice carried across the store. Customers looked over. Employees kept their eyes down. Aaron's cheeks turned red as Richard continued, explaining loudly that corporate standards were not suggestions, that sloppy shelves meant sloppy minds, that people who could not stack soup did not deserve hours on the schedule. Maya quietly pulled a fresh roll of receipt paper from beneath her register and pretended to check it. Her hands stayed busy. Her eyes stayed low. Richard liked being heard. He liked the way silence gathered around him. In that silence, he could pretend he was respected. When he finally moved away from Aaron, he stopped near the bakery table. A clear plastic box of apples sat there, marked for discount because a few of them were bruised. Richard picked it up, glanced at the fruit, and tossed the whole box into the trash. Maya watched the apples tumble against a pile of paper towels and empty packaging. Her stomach tightened so sharply she almost bent forward. Good food, real food. Food Lily would have eaten happily sliced into small pieces. Food Maya would have carried home if she had been allowed. She looked away quickly. FreshMart threw away food every night. Employees were not allowed to take it. Richard called it policy. Maya called it waste, but only in her own mind. She took a sip of warm tap water from her plastic bottle. It did nothing for the hunger, but it gave her something to do with her hands. Richard moved toward the checkout lanes. Maya could feel him approaching before he stopped behind her. The air changed. The other cashiers grew quieter. Even the beeping registers seemed too loud. He checked his fake gold watch. It flashed under the lights in a way that looked more desperate than impressive. He tapped one polished shoe against the floor. His eyes moved over Maya's station, searching for a reason. Then he found one. A single crumpled receipt lay near the corner of her register, left behind by a customer minutes earlier. Richard picked it up slowly, pinched between two fingers, and held it in front of Maya's face. "Evans," he said, "why does your station look like a mess?" Maya stopped scanning the next customer's cereal box. "I'm sorry, Mr. Vance. I will clean it right now." Richard let the receipt fall back to the floor instead of handing it to her. His mouth curled into a small smile. "Corporate is breathing down my neck. And you think this is acceptable?" Maya glanced at the receipt, then at the waiting customer. then back at him. "It was just left there. I can pick it up now." He stepped closer. "One mistake tonight, Evans. One. That is all it will take. If the auditors see anything wrong tomorrow, I will start cutting people from this shift, and I will start with you." Maya felt heat rise behind her eyes, but she forced her face to stay calm. "I understand." "Do you?" "Yes, sir, I understand." He studied her for another moment, enjoying the way she had to stand there and take it. Then he turned and walked away, leaving the receipt on the floor like a test. Maya bent carefully and picked it up. Her knee protested. She threw the receipt away, wiped the counter, and looked at the clock on the register screen. 10:45 at night. 15 minutes left. 15 minutes until she could take off the name badge. 15 minutes until she could get her coat from the locker. 15 minutes until the long bus ride home, where she could sit by Lily's bed and listen to her breathing. Maya told herself she could endure anything for 15 minutes. She was wrong. The automatic doors opened hard, pushed by a violent gust of wind. Snow swept into the entrance and melted on the floor mats. A small figure stepped through, almost disappearing inside an oversized gray hoodie. The hood hung low, hiding most of his face. His sleeves were too long. His jeans were soaked at the bottom. His shoes were cheap canvas, dark with water and mud. For a second, the boy stood just inside the entrance, as if the brightness of the store surprised him. Then he pulled his arms close to his body and walked forward. No one greeted him. A woman near the produce section pulled her purse closer. A man choosing oranges glanced at the boy and quickly looked away. One of the younger cashiers watched him with nervous curiosity, then pretended not to. Maya saw all of it. The boy did not wander. He did not look at toys, candy, or the colorful fruit displays. He moved with the directness of someone whose hunger had already made the decision. He went to the cold deli case near the front and crouched by the lowest shelf. Maya could see his small fingers moving over the labels. He picked up the cheapest sandwich, a peanut butter and jelly in a clear plastic triangle container. Then he held it against his chest and walked slowly toward register 4. He chose her lane because it was closest. Or maybe because Maya's face looked a little less hard than the others. She would never know. He placed the sandwich on the counter without meeting her eyes. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of coins. They were wet and dirty, and they scattered across the metal counter with a sad little clatter. Maya counted them softly. $1, $1.20, $1.30, $1.35. The sandwich was $3. The boy's cheeks flushed. He stared down at his shoes. "I thought it was cheaper," he whispered. His voice was small, but it carried the kind of embarrassment that made Maya's heart ache. She looked at the sandwich, then at the boy. Before she could decide what to say, he started rubbing his left wrist. At first it looked like an anxious habit. Then he scratched harder. His sleeve slid back, and Maya saw the red marks rising across his skin. Hives. She leaned closer, suddenly alert. The marks were angry and spreading. His fingers scratched with the frantic urgency of a child who did not yet understand what his own body was warning him about. Maya's mind went straight to Lily. Not asthma this time, but allergies. The emergency forms, the warning labels, the frightening speed with which a normal day can turn into sirens and doctors and someone saying, "Stay calm, ma'am. We are doing everything we can." The sandwich had peanut butter. Maya reached out and gently slid it away from the boy. "Sweetie, you cannot eat this." His head jerked up. His eyes were wide and glassy. He misunderstood immediately. He thought she was taking it away because he was poor. He reached for the coins, his small fingers trembling. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "I'll go." "No," Maya said, keeping her voice soft. "Wait, your wrist. Are you allergic to peanuts?" The boy hesitated. "I don't know. Sometimes peanut stuff makes me itchy. My throat felt funny once." Maya felt cold move through her in a way that had nothing to do with the weather. "Do not eat this," she said more firmly now. "Not even one bite." Before she could explain anything else, Richard's voice cut across the lane. "What is this?" Maya turned. Richard was walking toward them fast, his face already twisted with disgust. He looked at the boy's wet shoes, the muddy prints, the scattered coins, and the sandwich on the counter. He did not see a hungry child. He saw an inconvenience on the night before his audit. He slammed his palm onto the counter. The coins jumped. A few rolled away and disappeared under the register belt. "This is not a shelter," Richard said. "You cannot come in here dripping mud all over my floor and begging for food." The boy flinched. "I was going to pay, sir." "With what?" Richard looked down at the coins and laughed without humor. pocket change, and trouble. Maya stepped closer to the boy. He is hungry, and he may be having an allergic reaction. Richard did not even look at the wrist. What he is having is a lesson in leaving private property. "This is a public grocery store," Maya said before she could stop herself. Richard turned toward her slowly. His eyes narrowed. "Do not correct me in front of customers." Maya felt the warning in his voice, but the boy kept scratching his wrist, and his lower lip was trembling. She could not look away. "He cannot eat that sandwich," she said. "It has peanut butter." "Then throw it away and get him out." The boy started to gather his coins again. His fingers were clumsy from the cold. One nickel rolled near Maya's hand. She caught it and placed it back on the counter. Richard grabbed the peanut butter sandwich and tossed it behind the register. It hit the floor near a stack of bags. "There," he said. "Problem solved." "No," Maya said. The word was quiet, but it changed the air around them. Richard's head snapped back. "What did you say?" Maya looked at the boy, then at the deli case across the aisle. "I said no. He still needs food." "Maya," another cashier whispered from 2 lanes over, barely loud enough to hear. Maya knew what that whisper meant. Stop. Think. Lily. Insurance. Rent. The inhaler. She did think of Lily. She thought of Lily coughing in the dark. She thought of the way a child's body can become fragile without warning. She thought of how many adults had looked past her own daughter because poor families were always expected to be patient, always expected to wait, always expected to make do. Maya stepped out from behind the register. Richard's face reddened. "Evans, get back in your lane." She walked to the premium deli section. Her hands moved quickly but not carelessly. She read labels: turkey, lettuce, cheese, gluten-free bread, nut-free facility, sealed separately, safe. $6.45. Maya swallowed. That was more than half of what she had. She carried the sandwich back and scanned it. The register beeped. The total appeared on the screen. Richard stared at her. "You are not doing this." Maya reached into her uniform pocket and pulled out her $10 bill. It was soft from being folded and unfolded too many times. She had planned how to use every part of it. She had imagined standing in the discount aisle the next morning, comparing prices, choosing rice over cereal, soup over bread, anything that could stretch. Now she placed it on the counter. She paid for the sandwich and handed it to the boy. "Take this," she said. "Find somewhere warm. And if your throat feels tight, you need help right away. Do you understand?" The boy stared at the sandwich, then at her. His eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." His voice was so soft that the words almost disappeared under the hum of the lights. Maya pushed his coins back toward him. "Keep these." He hesitated. "Please," she said. The boy closed his small hand around the coins, hugged the turkey sandwich against his chest, and ran toward the automatic doors. The wind rushed in as he left. Snow swallowed him in seconds. Maya watched until the doors closed. Then Richard exploded. "You think you are some kind of hero?" Maya turned slowly. Her hands were shaking, but her voice stayed calm. He was allergic. That first sandwich could have seriously hurt him. Richard stepped close enough that she could smell his cologne again. "I told you to remove him from the store, and you decided to make a scene on my floor. I decided to feed a child safely. You decided to disobey a direct order." Customers had stopped moving. A woman near the express lane watched with one hand at her throat. Aaron stood near the soup display, frozen in place. The other cashiers looked terrified. Richard reached for Maya's name badge. She stepped back, but he was faster. He ripped it from her shirt. The pin caught the fabric and tore a small hole near the logo. "You are fired," he said loudly. The words landed with more force than his hand on the counter had. Maya felt the floor tilt beneath her. Fired. No job, no insurance, no steady schedule, no safe way to get Lily's medicine. Her mind jumped to the inhaler on the kitchen shelf, almost empty. She saw Lily's face. She heard that cough. She felt fear rise so quickly it almost took her breath. Richard was still talking. He said something about policy, something about insubordination, something about at-will employment. The words blurred around the edge of Maya's panic. She reached for the counter to steady herself. Richard pointed toward the back. "Get your things. Leave through the employee exit. I do not want customers seeing you cry." Maya looked at him then, really looked at him. Under the anger, under the suit, under the fake gold watch, she saw something small and frightened. A man terrified of being exposed, using cruelty as armor. That did not make him less dangerous. She walked to the break room in silence. The narrow hallway behind the store smelled like cardboard, floor cleaner, and old coffee. A broken vending machine hummed in the corner. The employee lockers stood in two uneven rows, dented and scratched from years of use. Maya opened hers and took out her thin winter coat. The other half of her granola bar sat on the shelf, still wrapped in tissue. She stared at it for a moment, then slipped it into her pocket. Her hands trembled as she checked her purse. $2 for the bus. A few coins, the change from the sandwich. Not enough. Never enough. She put on her coat and closed the locker quietly. At the back exit, she paused with one hand on the metal door. The anger came late after the fear. It rose inside her, hot and humiliating. She had given everything she could spare to keep a child safe, and the world had answered by taking more from her. For 1 second, she wondered if kindness was a luxury people like her could not afford. Then she saw the boy's wrist in her mind. The hives, the peanut butter, the way he had looked at her when she handed him the safe sandwich. Kindness was not a luxury. It was a choice, sometimes a painful one, sometimes an unfair one, but still a choice. Maya pushed open the back door and stepped into the alley. The wind hit her so hard she had to turn her face away. Snow swirled around the dumpsters and clung to the hem of her coat. The alley lights flickered. Somewhere far off, a siren moved through the city. She pulled her coat tight and started toward the bus stop. By the time the bus came, her fingers were numb. She dropped her $2 into the fare box and sat near the back, where the heat worked a little better. All right. A man slept across 2 seats. A nurse in purple scrubs stared out the window. A young mother rocked a stroller with one foot while holding a grocery bag against her chest. Maya watched the dark streets pass. Chicago at night looked different in a storm. Storefronts blurred behind snow. Traffic lights glowed like red and green moons. People walked with their heads down, fighting the wind one step at a time. She took the half granola bar from her pocket, broke it into 2 pieces, and ate one slowly. She saved the other for Lily, even though Lily would probably say she was not hungry if she knew it was the last food her mother had. When Maya reached her apartment, the building hallway smelled like wet coats and old radiator heat. She climbed 3 flights of stairs because the elevator had not worked properly for weeks. Her knee hurt so badly by the 2nd floor that she had to grip the railing and breathe through it. At her door, she paused to wipe her face. She did not want Lily to see the fear right away. Their neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, opened the door before Maya could knock. She was a soft-spoken widow in her 70s who watched Lily during late shifts when she could. Her gray hair was tied in a loose bun, and she wore a sweater with missing buttons. "She's asleep," Mrs. Alvarez whispered. She coughed a little, but not too bad. Maya's shoulders dropped with relief. "Thank you. I am sorry it is so late." Mrs. Alvarez looked at Maya's face and understood enough not to ask too loudly. "Bad night." Maya tried to smile, one of the worst. Mrs. Alvarez touched her arm. "Come by in the morning if you need anything." Maya nodded, though she hated needing anything. Inside the apartment, the heat clicked and groaned, but the room stayed cold around the edges. Lily slept on the small bed they shared, her curls spread across the pillow, one hand tucked beneath her cheek. The inhaler sat on the crate beside the bed, along with a plastic cup of water, a children's book, and 2 folded medical bills Maya had not opened again because reading them did not make them smaller. Maya sat on the floor beside the bed and listened. Inhale, exhale, a small cough, then quiet. She reached for Lily's hand and held it gently. "I'm sorry, baby," she whispered. "Mama is trying." Lily stirred but did not wake. Maya stayed there until her legs went numb. She should have slept. She should have saved her strength for whatever came next. But fear kept her alert. What would happen when insurance stopped? How long would the pharmacy hold the inhaler? Could she call the clinic? Could she ask for a payment plan? Could she sell something? There was almost nothing left to sell. Near dawn, the snow stopped. The city became still in that strange way it does after a storm. Every sound softened, every sidewalk buried, every problem waiting under a clean white cover. Maya slept for less than an hour. Across town, Marcus Sterling had not slept at all. After Leo was safely checked by the medical team, Marcus had replayed the footage 3 times, then a 4th. Not because he needed proof. The proof was clear. He watched because he could not stop thinking about how close they had come to disaster. Leo sat wrapped in a blanket in the security vehicle, sipping warm apple cider from a paper cup. The hives had faded after treatment. His breathing was normal. His voice was steady. But Marcus kept looking at his son's wrist, imagining what might have happened if Maya had not been paying attention. "Dad," Leo said, "are you mad at me?" Marcus turned quickly. No, never. Why would you think that? Because I picked the peanut sandwich. I forgot to check. Marcus closed his eyes for a second. Leo, you did what the test asked you to do. Adults were supposed to protect you. One of them did. Leo looked down at the safe sandwich wrapper on his lap. She was nice. She looked tired. Yes, Marcus said. She did. She paid with her own money. I saw. And the manager fired her. Marcus's jaw tightened. I saw that too. Leo was quiet for a moment. Are there a lot of people like him? The question hurt because Marcus knew the honest answer was not simple. There were cruel people in the world, yes, but there were also tired people, scared people, people under pressure, people who forgot that every job was still a human life. There were systems that rewarded numbers while ignoring suffering. There were reports that looked clean because employees were too afraid to tell the truth. Marcus had spent years believing that good policies were enough. Now, sitting in a warm vehicle while a cashier walked into the snow with nothing, he realized a policy means very little if the people enforcing it have no compassion. There are some people like him, Marcus said, but there are also people like Miss Evans. The goal is to make sure people like her are heard before people like him do more harm. Leo looked at him carefully. Then we should make her heard. Marcus nodded. He opened a secure line to his chief counsel, then to regional human resources, then to corporate security. His voice stayed calm, but everyone who knew him understood the calm was serious. He ordered the preservation of the video file. He ordered a freeze on all employment actions at store number 84 until the executive team arrived. He ordered a full review of the branch records, inventory reports, staff complaints, and Richard Vance's personnel decisions. Then, he asked for Maya Evans' employee profile. The file arrived within minutes. Maya Evans, cashier, strong attendance record, few absences, all connected to documented pediatric medical appointments, multiple positive customer comments, no prior disciplinary record until minor notes entered by Richard Vance over the previous month, dependable, often accepted extra shifts, health plan enrolled with dependent child. Marcus read every line. Then he saw a note about Lily's asthma medication claim, partially denied pending renewal. He stared at the screen for a long time. The anger he felt was not loud anymore. It became focused. By 5:30 in this morning, the blizzard had passed, but the cold had deepened. The city shone under ice. The roads were plowed in uneven lanes, and the sky above the grocery store was a pale winter blue that looked almost peaceful. Inside FreshMart, Richard Vance arrived early. He liked arriving before everyone else on important days. It gave him the feeling that the building belonged to him. He unlocked the doors, switched on the lights, and walked across the polished floor with a steaming vanilla latte in his hand. He had paid $4 for it at the drive-thru and told himself it was an investment in confidence. His suit was freshly pressed. His shoes had been polished. His fake gold watch sat heavy on his wrist. He had rehearsed the morning in his mind. Corporate auditors would arrive. They would see clean floors, straight shelves, and a manager willing to make hard decisions. They would hear that he had fired a cashier for theft the night before, and they would admire his discipline. Richard did not understand the difference between discipline and ennui. Cruelty. In his office, he turned on the computer and logged into the corporate system. The room was small, windowless, and crowded with binders he rarely opened. A motivational poster hung crookedly above the desk. Excellence is a choice. Richard liked the poster because it sounded strict. He searched for Maya Evans in the Human Resources database. Her profile appeared. He selected the termination form and began filling in the fields. Reason for separation: gross insubordination. Incident summary: employee removed premium food merchandise and gave it to an unauthorized individual without approval. He paused, then added more. Employee became confrontational when corrected by management. Then more. Employee created a safety issue and disrupted store operations. The lies became easier as he typed. That was the strange thing about dishonesty. The first sentence required effort. The next one came faster. By the end, Richard almost believed he was the victim of the story. He clicked the confirmation button. The system asked for his manager code. He entered it quickly. A confirmation message appeared. Employment terminated. Benefits cancellation pending. Richard leaned back in his chair and smiled. He printed 3 copies of the paperwork. One for the file, one for Maya, one for the auditors if they asked. He signed each page with large, aggressive strokes. Then he called corporate security and requested 2 guards in the front lobby. "Employee may become emotional," he said into the phone. "I want this handled professionally." He hung up, feeling powerful. By 7:30, employees had begun arriving. They moved carefully around Richard, speaking in low voices. Aaron came in with his hood up and his eyes tired. The young cashier from Lane 2, Brianna, asked quietly if Maya was coming back. No one answered. Richard gathered the morning staff near the registers for a short meeting. He told them the audit mattered. He told them corporate would be watching. He told them anyone who failed to meet standards would be replaced. He did not mention kindness. He did not mention customers as people. He did not mention that a child had left the store fed and safe because a cashier had done what he refused to do. When he finished, everyone returned to work in silence. At 7:50, Maya stepped off the bus 2 blocks away. The sidewalks were slick, and she walked slowly, careful not to fall. Her coat was thin against the cold. Her purse felt too light. She had left Lily with Mrs. Alvarez and promised she would be back quickly. Lily had woken with sleepy eyes and asked if Mama had work today. Maya had brushed a curl from her daughter's face and said, "I have to go to the store for a little while." "Will you bring soup?" Maya had smiled, even though her chest hurt. "I will try." Now, walking toward FreshMart, she carried that promise like another weight. She did not want to enter the building. Every step toward the automatic doors made her stomach tighten. She imagined Richard standing there. She imagined people staring. She imagined being accused again. But she needed her final paycheck. Even a small amount could help. Even a few hours of pay mattered. The FreshMart sign glowed above the entrance. The letters looked cheerful and false. Maya took one breath and stepped forward. The automatic doors opened. Warm air rushed around her face. The familiar smell of coffee, floor cleaner, and bread hit her at once. For a moment, the store looked exactly the same. Bright, clean, busy, ordinary. Then she saw Richard. He stood in the front lobby with 2 security guards beside him. He held the termination papers in one hand. His smile was sharp. Several employees watched from the registers. Aaron stood near aisle 2, his hands clenched at his sides. Brianna looked like she wanted to speak but could not find the courage. Maya felt her throat tighten. "I came for my paycheck," she said. Richard raised his voice so everyone could hear. "Miss Evans, before we release anything, we need to address the matter of stolen merchandise." Maya blinked. "I did not steal anything. You removed premium deli merchandise from the store. I paid for it. With money from the register." "No, with my own money." Richard smiled wider. "That is not what the report says." Maya looked at the employees. Some looked away, not because they believed him, but because they were scared of what truth might cost them. Richard gestured to the guards. "We may need to inspect her bag." Maya stepped back. "You have no right to search me. You lost the right to make demands when you violated policy." Her hands trembled, but she held her purse close. "I want my paycheck. Then I will leave." Richard took one slow step toward her. "You will leave when I say this is finished." The lobby became painfully quiet. Then the automatic doors opened again. A rush of icy air swept in. Outside, 3 black SUVs pulled up to the curb in a smooth, coordinated line. Their dark windows reflected the pale morning sun. The FreshMart corporate logo shone on the doors. Richard's posture changed instantly. His shoulders straightened. His expression shifted from cruelty to eager performance. He adjusted his tie and smoothed his lapels. The auditors had arrived, he thought. Perfect timing. They would see him controlling a difficult employee. They would see leadership. The doors of the SUVs opened. Men and women in dark coats stepped out, moving with calm purpose. 2 corporate security directors came first, then a woman from legal, then a regional human resources officer carrying a slim leather folder. Finally, Marcus Sterling stepped onto the snowy curb. He wore a dark navy wool suit beneath a tailored overcoat. His hair was touched with silver at the temples. His expression was controlled, but his eyes were sharp. He did not hurry. Men like Marcus did not need to hurry. The room shifted around him before he even crossed the threshold. Richard moved forward with his hand extended. "Mr. Sterling, we are honored. I was not expecting you personally." Marcus walked through the doors and did not take his hand. Richard's smile faltered, then returned too quickly. "We are in the middle of resolving an internal theft issue, but I can have it handled immediately." Marcus said nothing. His gaze moved past Richard and settled on Maya. "Maya Evans." Maya stiffened. "Yes." Before Marcus could continue, a small boy stepped through the doors behind him. The entire lobby seemed to stop breathing. It was the boy from the night before. But now he was clean, warm, and carefully dressed. His torn hoodie was gone. He wore a dark suit, a wool coat, and polished shoes. His hair was neatly combed. He did not look like a child who had slept in the cold. He looked like a child deeply loved, carefully protected, and raised inside a world Richard had never imagined he was connected to. Leo walked straight past Richard. He ran to Marcus and wrapped both arms around his father's waist. "Dad," he said. That one word broke Richard's confidence apart. His face went pale. His mouth opened. His eyes moved from Leo to Marcus, then to Maya, then back to Leo, as if rearranging the facts could change them. Marcus rested a hand gently on his son's shoulder. "Last night," he said, "my son entered this location as part of an authorized corporate integrity review." No one moved. The hoodie he wore contained a concealed camera and microphone. The live feed was monitored in real time by me, corporate security, and medical support. Richard swallowed. "Sir, I had no way of knowing who he was." Marcus turned toward him for the first time. "That is exactly why the test matters. You believed he was powerless." Richard tried to recover. "With respect, sir, we have a serious problem with theft and loitering. I was protecting company property." Marcus's voice stayed even. "You were protecting your ego." The words were quiet, but every employee heard them. Marcus looked around the lobby. Store number 84 has reported unusual inventory loss, severe turnover, and multiple complaints that did not move properly through regional review. Last night confirmed a leadership failure far deeper than any spreadsheet showed. Richard shook his head. "This is being taken out of context." Marcus nodded once to the woman from legal. She opened her folder and removed a tablet. With a tap, the speaker played Richard's voice from the night before. "Not a shelter, pocket change, and trouble. Get him out. You are fired." The recording filled the lobby. Maya lowered her eyes. Hearing it again made the humiliation return, but this time she was not alone. Marcus stopped the playback. Then he looked at Richard with a cold sadness. "My son has a severe peanut allergy. The sandwich you dismissed as a simple product could have caused a life-threatening reaction. Miss Evans noticed the symptoms you ignored. She selected a safe meal, paid for it herself, and protected a child at personal cost." Richard's hands shook. "I did not know about the allergy. You did not ask. You did not look. You did not care." Richard tried again. "Sir, I was under pressure because of the audit." "Pressure reveals character," Marcus said. "It does not create it." The security directors stepped forward. Richard Vance, the human resources officer, said, "Effective immediately. You are suspended pending termination and investigation. You will surrender your badge, keys, radio, and company phone." Richard looked at the guards as if they had betrayed him. "This is ridiculous. I have given years to this company." Marcus's expression did not soften. Years of service do not excuse a single night of cruelty. And based on what we already have, this was not a single night. Richard's badge came off first, then his keys, then his radio, then his phone. With every item placed into a security bag, he seemed to shrink. He looked toward the employees, searching for sympathy. Aaron looked back at him, no longer lowering his eyes. Brianna stood straighter. The guards who had been called to intimidate Maya now stood between Richard and the store he had ruled through fear. "Please," Richard said, his voice cracking. "I can fix this." Marcus looked at him for a long moment. "Fixing begins with accountability. Today, your accountability begins outside this building." The security directors escorted Richard toward the doors. He did not shout now. He did not threaten. He walked stiffly, face red and wet-eyed, while the automatic doors opened to the cold morning. The same storm he had sent Maya into now waited for him. When the doors closed, no one clapped. No one cheered. It was not a celebration. It was a release. The store felt as if it exhaled. Maya stood near the front of the lobby, still holding her purse, still not fully understanding what had happened. Her heart pounded. Her cheeks were wet. She looked at Leo, then at Marcus, then at the papers in Richard's abandoned hand. Marcus walked to her slowly. "Miss Evans," he said, "I owe you an apology." Maya shook her head out of reflex. "You don't have to." "Yes," he said, "I do." He stopped a few feet away, giving her space. "This company failed you before last night. A healthy workplace should never make an employee choose between doing the right thing and keeping health insurance for her child." Maya's breath caught. Marcus reached into his coat and removed a cream-colored envelope with the FreshMart corporate seal. He held it out with both hands. "This is for you." Maya accepted it carefully. Her fingers trembled so badly that the envelope shook. She opened it and unfolded the first page. The letter stated that her termination had been voided. Her record had been cleared. Her missed wages would be paid. Her benefits would be restored immediately, with no gap in coverage. Any medical claims affected by the wrongful termination would be reviewed and covered. Maya pressed one hand to her mouth. Marcus spoke softly. Lily's medication will be handled today. Our benefits team is already contacting the pharmacy and your clinic. At the sound of her daughter's name, Maya nearly dropped the paper. How do you know about Lily? Your employee file included dependent coverage and recent prescription notes. We reviewed it this morning to make sure nothing Richard did would harm your family. Maya tried to answer, but no words came. Marcus nodded toward the second page. Please keep reading. She turned the page. It was an employment offer. Regional Customer Service Manager. Maya stared at the title. It seemed too large to belong to her. The salary below it made the room blur. It was not extravagant in Marcus's world, perhaps, but in Maya's life, it was freedom. Rent paid on time, medicine without panic, groceries without putting things back, shoes that did not need cardboard, a savings account with more than a few emergency dollars. She looked up, stunned. I do not have a college degree. Marcus smiled gently. You have judgment. You have courage. You have compassion under pressure. We can train systems. We cannot train the heart you showed last night. Maya shook her head as tears fell freely now. I was just trying to help him. Leo stepped forward. You did help me. Maya knelt and Leo hugged her. She held him carefully, as if he were both a child she had saved and a reminder of her own daughter waiting at home. Thank you, he whispered. Maya closed her eyes. You're welcome, sweetheart. The store around them softened. Employees who had been silent for months finally allowed emotion to show on their faces. Aaron wiped his eyes with the back of his sleeve. Brianna covered her mouth. Even one of the security guards looked away for a moment. Marcus addressed the staff next. Every employee here will have the chance to speak privately with human resources today. No retaliation will be tolerated. Wages, scheduling, safety practices, inventory procedures, and management conduct will all be reviewed. This location will change, and it will change with the voices of the people who actually work here. For a moment, no one responded. They were not used to being asked. They were not used to being believed. Then Aaron raised his hand slightly. Sir, what about people who already quit because of him? Marcus looked at the human resources officer. We will reach out to former employees as part of the investigation. Brianna spoke next, her voice shaking. Some complaints were made. Nothing happened. Then we will find out why, Marcus said. Maya listened, still holding the envelope. The building looked the same, but it felt different. The lights still buzzed. The register still beeped. The floor still smelled of cleaner and winter slush. Yet the fear had shifted, not vanished completely. Fear never disappears in a single morning. But it had been named, it had been challenged, it had lost its throne. Later that day, Maya went home in a corporate car arranged by Marcus's team. She held the envelope in her lap the whole way, afraid that if she set it down, the whole miracle might disappear. Chicago passed outside the window. The snow looked brighter now. The city was still hard, still cold, still full of bills and broken elevators and people waiting for buses in thin coats. But for Maya, the world had tilted slightly toward mercy. When she reached her building, Mrs. Alvarez opened the door with Lily beside her. Mama, Lily said, running forward. Maya knelt and wrapped her arms around her daughter. She held on longer than usual. Did you bring soup? Lily asked, against her shoulder. Maya laughed through tears. Yes, baby, we are going to get soup. And your medicine. And maybe apples, too. Lily pulled back. Apples! Maya smiled. Yes, the good kind. Mrs. Alvarez watched Maya's face. Something happened. Maya nodded, unable to explain it all at once. Something good. That afternoon, Lily's inhaler was ready at the pharmacy. The charge at the register was covered. The pharmacist smiled, but this time there was no pity in it. Maya picked up the small box and held it like treasure. On the walk home, Lily carried a bag with soup, apples, bread, and a small carton of orange juice. Maya carried the medicine and the envelope. The wind was still cold, but it no longer felt like it was pushing only against her. A week later, Maya returned to FreshMart, not as a cashier behind Register 4, but as part of the new regional team. She wore a navy blazer borrowed from Mrs. Alvarez until her first paycheck came. She still felt nervous walking through the doors, but this time the employees looked up and smiled. Aaron had been moved to a training role in the stockroom because he understood the inventory system better than anyone had realized. Brianna had been invited to join the customer service desk after customers praised her patience. Break schedules were being corrected. Food waste policies were under review. Discounted safe donation programs were being discussed with local shelters. The store was not perfect, but it had begun to heal. Maya walked past the bakery table and saw a cart marked for community donation. Apples with tiny bruises, bread near its sell date, food that would no longer go straight into the trash simply because no one in charge cared enough to ask a better question. She touched the edge of the cart and smiled. Kindness, she was learning, was not only a feeling. It could become a policy. It could become a procedure. It could become training, leadership, and a different way to measure success. Marcus called her later that week. "How does it feel," he asked, "to be on the other side of the register?" Maya looked through the office window at the checkout lanes. Strange. Good. A little scary. "Good," Marcus said. "Stay a little scared. It helps good leaders remember the people their decisions affect." Maya smiled. "I will. And Miss Evans." "Yes." Leo asked if you and Lily would come to the company family event next month. Maya laughed softly. Lily would love that. After the call, Maya stood alone for a moment. She thought about the night of the storm. The coins, the sandwich, the ripped name tag, the alley, the bus. She thought about how close she had come to believing kindness had cost her too much. But the truth was deeper than that. Kindness had cost her something. Real kindness often does. It may cost money, time, comfort, pride, or the safety of staying silent. It may cost us the approval of people who mistake cruelty for strength. It may make a hard day harder for a little while. But cruelty has a cost too. Richard's cost had arrived later, but it had arrived completely. He lost his title because he had never learned that leadership is not the power to frighten people. It is the responsibility to protect them. He lost his store because he treated workers like disposable parts and customers like interruptions. He lost trust because every small act of arrogance had built a life no one wanted to defend. Maya's choice had also grown. One safe sandwich became a child's protection. One moment of courage became a company's investigation. One cashier's compassion became a new role, new benefits, and a new way forward for dozens of workers who had been afraid for too long. That is how goodness often works. It starts small, so small that people who worship power miss it completely. A hand reaching across a counter, a careful look at a wrist, a label read twice, a $10 bill unfolded from a tired pocket, a soft voice saying, "You cannot eat this," not because it is forbidden, but because you are worth protecting. The world is full of moments like that. Most of them never make news. Most of them are never recorded. No chief executive sees them. No hidden camera preserves them. No one arrives the next morning with a cream-colored envelope and a life-changing offer. And still, they matter. They matter because the person receiving kindness remembers. They matter because the person giving kindness becomes stronger in the right places. They matter because every gentle choice pushes back against a culture that tells people to hurry, judge, ignore, and move on. Maya did not know Leo's name when she helped him. She did not know his father. She did not know his home, his school, his future, or his place in the world. She knew only what was in front of her. A cold child, a dangerous sandwich, a moment that required a decision. And she chose well. That is the kind of character we all hope to have when pressure finds us. Not perfect character, not loud character, not the kind that gives speeches about goodness while doing nothing difficult. Real character, the quiet kind, the kind that notices when someone is embarrassed, the kind that speaks gently when another person is afraid, the kind that refuses to let policy become an excuse for harm. Life will test that character in ordinary places, at a checkout counter, on a bus, in a workplace meeting, in the way we speak to a server who made a mistake, in the way we treat a tired cashier when the line is long, in the way we respond to a child, a neighbor, a coworker, or a stranger who has less power than we do. The test is not always dramatic. Sometimes no one will applaud. Sometimes doing the right thing will feel lonely. Sometimes the reward will not come quickly or at all in the way we imagined. But the choice still becomes part of us. Every harsh word leaves a mark. Every patient word can heal one. Every act of arrogance builds a colder world. Every act of mercy opens a window. Power is temporary. Titles change. Badges come off. Offices get cleared. Watches stop impressing people. But the way we make others feel when they are vulnerable can echo for years. Maya's story reminds us that responsibility is not only for people at the top. It belongs to anyone who can make a moment kinder, safer, or more honest. Marcus had responsibility because he owned the company. Richard had responsibility because he managed the store. Maya had responsibility because a child stood in front of her and needed help. Only one of them chose correctly at first. But Marcus chose correctly when truth reached him. He listened. He acted. He used power to repair instead of protect pride. That matters too, because forgiveness and responsibility do not mean pretending harm did not happen. They mean facing it clearly and choosing a better way forward. Maya did not need to become bitter to become strong. She did not need revenge to regain dignity. Her strength came from staying human in a place that tried to make her feel invisible. That is a lesson worth carrying. When you are tired, be careful not to become cruel. When you're under pressure, be careful not to pass that pressure down to someone with less power. When you have authority, remember that people are not tools for your ambition. They are lives, families, fears, hopes, bills, illnesses, dreams, and stories you may never fully know. And when you are the one struggling, do not believe hardship has taken away your ability to do good. Sometimes the people with the least to give understand generosity best. Sometimes the person counting coins recognizes hunger faster than the person counting profits. Sometimes the one who has been overlooked becomes the one who sees most clearly. Maya's $12 did not look like much in a corporate report. It did not impress a manager. It did not solve the economy or erase every problem in her life. But in the right moment, guided by the right heart, it helped save a child and reveal the truth. That is not small. That is powerful. So the next time life places someone vulnerable in your path, pause long enough to see them. Ask one more question. Read one more label. Offer one more gentle word. Choose patience before judgment. Choose responsibility before pride. Choose kindness even when the world has made you tired, because you may never know how far that choice will travel. You may never know whose life becomes safer because you paid attention. You may never know whose heart becomes softer because you refuse to be harsh. You may never know what chain of goodness begins with one quiet decision. But the world will know. Somewhere, somehow, goodness leaves evidence. Not always on camera, not always in paperwork, not always in headlines. Sometimes it lives in a child's memory. Sometimes it lives in a mother's relief. Sometimes it lives in a workplace that slowly becomes less afraid. Sometimes it lives in the person you become because you chose not to look away. And, in the end, that may be the greatest reward of all. To know that when a hard moment came, you stayed kind. To know that when someone needed help, you saw them. To know that when fear tried to make you small, your heart made you brave. That is how one humble act can change the whole story. In the months that followed, the story did not remain only a memory from one winter night. It became a turning point, not because it was dramatic, but because it forced every person connected to that store to look at what they had accepted as normal. Maya learned quickly that a new title did not remove fear overnight. On her first official day in regional customer service, she stood in front of a small conference room filled with managers from nearby stores. Some of them looked curious. Some looked skeptical. A few looked annoyed that a former cashier had been invited to speak to them about leadership. Maya noticed all of it. She had spent years reading faces from behind a register. She could tell when someone was tired, when someone was pretending to listen, when someone was embarrassed, when someone wanted to be kind but was afraid to move first. That skill had once helped her survive difficult shifts. Now it helped her lead. She did not begin with a speech about herself. She began with a question. When a customer walks through your doors looking cold, poor, angry, confused, or difficult, what do you see first? No one answered at first. Maya let the silence sit there. She had learned from hard experience that people often reveal more in silence than they do in words. Then an older assistant manager said, "We see a risk." A younger supervisor said, "We see a complaint waiting to happen." Someone in the back said quietly, "We see extra work." Maya nodded. Those answers were honest. And honesty, she believed, was the only place a better culture could begin. Then she said, "I understand that. I have seen those things too. But if that is all we see, we will miss the person." She told them about customers who came in short-tempered because they were worried about a sick parent. She told them about mothers who counted coins at the register while pretending they were not embarrassed. She told them about elderly shoppers who asked too many questions because the store was the only conversation they would have all day. She told them about children who looked messy because no adult had helped them get clean, not because they deserved suspicion. She did not tell the story to shame anyone. She told it to make them pause. A pause, Maya said, can change everything. Before you assume, pause. Before you punish, pause. Before you raise your voice, pause. Before you call someone a problem, ask whether they might actually be a person having one. Marcus watched from the back of the room. He had expected her to be nervous, and she was. Her hands trembled slightly when she first held the microphone, but her voice grew steady because she was not performing. She was speaking from lived truth. After the session, one manager approached her privately. He was a tall man with tired eyes and a wedding ring he kept twisting around his finger. "I think I have been harder on my team than I realized," he admitted. Maya did not rush to comfort him. She also did not shame him. "Then today is a good day to change that." He nodded. "Where do I start?" "Ask them what they need to do their jobs better," she said. Then listen long enough to believe the answers. That became the heart of Maya's work. Listen long enough to believe. At store number 84, the first weeks were uncomfortable. Employees had learned to hide problems, so when leadership finally asked for honesty, the truth came out slowly. People were afraid of traps. They had been punished for speaking before. They needed proof that the new promises were real. Maya understood. Trust was not a light switch. It was a small fire. It had to be protected from wind. It had to be fed with consistent action. So she showed up early. She stayed late. She asked cashiers where the lines backed up and why. She asked stock clerks which inventory counts were impossible to finish during the hours they were given. She asked bakery staff what food was being wasted and what could be safely donated. She asked the cleaning crew which equipment had been broken for months, but never entered into the system. People watched her write their answers down. Then they watched repairs happen. A broken mop sink was fixed. The schedule was adjusted so closing staff could finish without missing the last bus. A small seating area was added to the break room because employees had been eating on overturned crates. The old vending machine was replaced with a refrigerator where workers could store meals from home. The donation program started quietly with bread and produce, then grew into weekly partnerships with 2 neighborhood shelters. None of these changes made headlines. None of them looked impressive on a glossy corporate slide, but they changed the daily life of the people inside the building. Aaron smiled more. Brianna stopped flinching when the office door opened. The night crew started leaving notes for the morning crew that said thank you instead of only listing mistakes. Customers noticed the difference before corporate did. They said the store felt calmer. They said employees seemed happier. They said the checkout lanes felt less tense. Marcus received those comments in weekly reports, but he also visited in person, not with a convoy every time. Sometimes he arrived in a plain coat, bought coffee, and stood by the front windows watching the way people moved. He had learned that culture was visible if a leader knew where to look. One afternoon, he saw Maya help an elderly man find a low-sodium soup his doctor had recommended. She did not rush him. She did not make him feel foolish. She read the labels aloud, then wrote down the name on a small paper so he could remember it next time. The man said, "Thank you for treating me like I wasn't in the way." Maya smiled. "You are not in the way. You are the reason we are here." Marcus carried that sentence back to the executive office. He began repeating it in leadership meetings. The customer is not in the way. The worker is not in the way. The person is the reason we are here. At first, some executives treated the FreshMart changes as a public relations issue. They wanted to know how to message it, how to control it, how to use it to protect the brand. Marcus listened, then closed the folder in front of him. "This is not about looking kind," he said. "It is about becoming kind enough that looking kind is no longer the point." That sentence made the room quiet. He ordered a review of management training across the company. Not only sales training, not only inventory training, training on dignity, training on conflict, training on disability awareness, food allergies, medical emergencies, and de-escalation, training on what to do when a customer cannot pay, training on how to correct an employee without humiliating them, training on how to read a situation before turning it into a confrontation. Some people said it was too much. Marcus answered, "It is less expensive than cruelty." He knew that now, in a way, numbers alone could never have taught him. Cruelty had already cost the company lost employees, poor service, hidden complaints, wasted food, and a branch culture built on fear. Kindness, organized properly, was not weakness. It was prevention. It was wisdom. It was the difference between a store people avoided and a store people trusted. Maya's new salary changed life at home slowly, then all at once. The first thing she bought was not a new coat for herself, though she needed one. It was a full refill of Lily's medication and a backup inhaler for school. Then she paid the overdue electric bill. Then she bought groceries without counting every item twice. Rice, chicken, apples, yogurt, soup, bread, peanut-free snacks for Lily, and a small box of cinnamon cereal because Lily had wanted it for months. At the checkout, Maya nearly cried when she did not have to put anything back. The cashier, a young man with a kind smile, asked if she was okay. Maya laughed softly and said, "Yes, I think I am." At home, Lily opened the cereal box like it was a birthday present. She poured a bowl and offered the first bite to her mother. "You first, Mama." Maya took the bite because she understood what Lily was offering. Not cereal, love, relief. A child's way of saying, "We made it through something, didn't we?" That night, Maya slept for 6 straight hours for the first time in longer than she could remember. A few days later, she bought new shoes. Not fancy ones, just sturdy black shoes with real support. She stood in the store aisle wearing them and felt the absence of pain before she understood what it was. Her feet did not burn. Her knee did not throb as sharply. She walked a few steps and laughed alone between the shelves. Sometimes dignity begins with something as simple as shoes that do not hurt. Mrs. Alvarez cried when Maya paid her properly for all the nights she had watched Lily for free or almost free. "You do not have to do this," Mrs. Alvarez said. Maya held her hands. "I know, that is why I want to." They sat at the small kitchen table drinking tea while Lily colored beside them. Maya told her the whole story, not the polished version, but the human one. The fear, the boy, the sandwich, the firing, the black SUVs, the envelope. Mrs. Alvarez listened with one hand over her heart. "God sees," she said softly. Maya looked at Lily, then at the inhaler on the shelf, then at the full grocery cabinet. Maybe sometimes people do too. Leo did not forget either. To him, the night at FreshMart became more than a test. It became a lesson that wealth could not teach by itself. He had known comfort all his life. He had known private schools, warm cars, safe homes, doctors who answered quickly, and adults who listened when he spoke. For one night, wearing a torn hoodie and wet shoes, he saw how fast some people looked through him. He also saw how one person did not. Weeks later, Leo asked his father if they could volunteer at one of the shelters receiving FreshMart donations. Marcus almost said they would arrange something later, the way busy adults often do. Then he stopped himself. Later is sometimes the polite name for never, so they went that Saturday. Leo helped carry boxes of apples and bread into a community kitchen. He moved carefully, checking labels because his own allergy had taught him how important labels could be. He watched volunteers greet people by name. He saw children laugh over hot soup. He saw men and women who did not look like the stereotypes some people carried in their minds. They looked like people, tired people, hopeful people, people with stories. On the drive home, Leo was quiet. Marcus asked, "What are you thinking?" Leo looked out the window. "I think being hungry makes people feel invisible." Marcus nodded slowly. "It can. And being kind makes them visible again." Marcus looked at his son and felt something in him soften. Yes, exactly. For all his money, Marcus knew he could not buy that kind of understanding for Leo. It had to be lived, felt, and chosen. Maya and Lily attended the company family event the next month. Lily wore a yellow sweater and carried a small purse with her inhaler inside because Maya was still careful and always would be. Leo spotted them near the entrance and ran over with the bright joy of a child seeing a true friend. Lily looked at him shyly. "Are you the boy from the sandwich story?" she asked. Leo nodded. "Are you Lily?" "Yes. My mom says you helped her get a better job." Leo looked serious. "Your mom helped me first." The children decided, without any adult instruction, that both things were true. They played a beanbag game, shared peanut-free cookies, and laughed until Maya felt a strange ache in her chest. Not sadness, not fear, something closer to gratitude but deeper, because gratitude after hardship carries memory inside it. Marcus stood beside her as the children played. "You know," he said, "Leo keeps talking about that night." Maya watched her daughter smile. "So do I. I worry sometimes that I put him too close to danger." Maya turned to him. "You did everything you could to protect him." "I thought I did." She understood the weight in his voice. Parents always look back and search for the moment they should have done more. Even powerful parents, even wealthy ones. Fear makes equals of people who love their children. Maya said, "I have had nights where I blame myself for not having enough money for medicine. That did not mean I loved Lily less. It meant the situation was hard." Marcus looked at her, and for once he seemed less like a chief executive and more like a father. "Thank you," he said. Maya nodded. "We both learned something." "What did you learn?" "That I was stronger than I felt." Marcus smiled. "I learned my company needed people stronger than me." Maya laughed. "That is a dangerous thing for a chief executive to admit." "Maybe," he said, "but a necessary one." The investigation into Richard Vance uncovered what many employees had suspected. Inventory numbers had been mishandled, not because cashiers were stealing sandwiches, but because ordering systems were poorly maintained. Damaged goods were not logged correctly, and Richard had pressured staff to hide errors before audits. Complaints had been buried, training hours had been cut. Good workers had left because they were tired of being treated as replaceable. The truth was not one dramatic secret. It was many small failures stacked on top of one another. That is often how harm grows. Not always through one enormous act, but through repeated little permissions. A manager raises his voice and no one stops him. A worker is humiliated and everyone says that is just how he is. Food is wasted and people call it policy. A complaint disappears and people decide it is easier not to file another. A child is judged by his clothes and the adults around him pretend they did not see. Then one day, the cost becomes too large to ignore. The beautiful truth is that goodness can grow the same way. A cashier notices a child's wrist. A father listens to the recording instead of protecting the company's image. Employees tell the truth. A new policy prevents waste. A manager learns to pause. A child volunteers. A mother sleeps better. A store becomes warmer. None of it fixes the whole world, but it changes the part of the world within reach. And most of life is lived within reach of our voice, within reach of our hands, within reach of our choices. Maya began carrying a small notebook during store visits. On the first page, she wrote a sentence to remind herself why the work mattered. See the person first. She wrote it in plain ink. No decoration, no big speech, just those 4 words. Whenever she entered a store where the employees looked tense, she opened the notebook before speaking. It reminded her not to become what she had survived. It reminded her that leadership can become cold if it forgets its own purpose. It reminded her that power is safest when it stays connected to humility. One evening, months after the blizzard, Maya visited store number 84 near closing time. Snow was falling again, gentle this time, not wild like the storm from that night. Register 4 was open. Brianna was training a new cashier, explaining how to handle coupons without making customers feel embarrassed. Aaron walked by carrying a box of canned goods and gave Maya a thumbs up. Near the deli case, a woman counted change in her palm while her little boy looked at a bowl of soup. Maya saw the hesitation, the quiet math, the small sadness of almost enough. Brianna saw it too. She stepped from behind the customer service desk and spoke gently. "We have a community meal voucher program now. Would that help tonight?" The woman looked startled. "I don't want trouble." "No trouble," Brianna said. "It is here for moments like this." Maya stood at a distance and watched the woman receive a warm meal without shame. She watched the child smile. She watched Brianna handle the moment with such care that no one nearby even turned to stare. That was when Maya knew the change was real. Not because Marcus had made a speech, not because Richard was gone, not because a policy existed in a binder, because kindness had become ordinary. That is one of the highest things a workplace, a family, or a community can become. A place where kindness is not treated as an exception, a place where dignity does not depend on a person's wallet, a place where rules still exist, but they are guided by wisdom, a place where people understand that efficiency without empathy can move faster, but it usually moves in the wrong direction. Maya stepped outside after closing and stood beneath the falling snow. The air was cold, but her coat was warm now. Real wool. A gift to herself after her first full paycheck. Her shoes were sturdy. Her phone had enough service. Her purse held more than emergency coins. None of that made her forget the old fear. It made her respect how many people still lived with it. She looked across the parking lot at the place where Marcus's black Lincoln had waited that night. For a while, she had wondered what would have happened if no one had been watching. Would she still have been fired? Would she have lost Lily's medicine? Would the story have ended in silence? Maybe. That truth mattered too, because kindness should not have to be witnessed by power to be protected. Maya carried that belief into every meeting. She argued for systems that did not rely on miracles. She pushed for clear emergency food assistance procedures. She helped create a policy allowing managers to safely comp low-cost meals in urgent situations without punishing employees. She advocated for medical awareness training and better employee support funds. She insisted that workers should not have to choose between compassion and survival. Some proposals took time. Some were challenged. Some people asked for proof that compassion improved performance. Maya would answer patiently. Look at retention, look at complaints, look at waste reduction, look at customer loyalty. But after that, look at the faces of the people working here. If the numbers improve while people are still afraid, we have not truly succeeded. Little by little, people listened. That did not make Maya perfect. She still got tired. She still worried. She still had days when leadership felt too heavy and the memories of poverty sat close to the surface. Sometimes she feared she would make a mistake that proved Richard had been right about her, even though she knew he had not. Healing is not a straight road. One evening, after a difficult meeting, Maya sat in her car and cried from exhaustion. Not hopeless tears, just human ones. Then she called Mrs. Alvarez, who listened quietly and said, "Mija, strong people still need rest." Maya laughed through her tears. "I know." "Do you?" Maya looked at the glowing windows of the office building. "I am learning." That became another lesson. Kindness had to include herself too. She could not build a humane culture by treating her own body like a machine. She began taking lunch breaks, real ones. She kept snacks in her bag. She scheduled Lily's appointments without apologizing, as if motherhood were an inconvenience. She learned to ask for help before crisis turned the key in the lock. Lily noticed. "Mama," she said one morning, "you smile more now." Maya paused while packing the school lunch. "I do." "Yes, even when you're tired." Maya placed apple slices into a small container. "I think I am less scared." Lily considered that with the seriousness of a child who knows more than adults realize. Is less scared the same as happy? Maya smiled. Not exactly, but it gives happiness more room. Lily nodded, satisfied, and tucked her inhaler into her backpack. The life Maya built after that night was not magical. Bills still arrived. Work still demanded energy. Lily still had asthma, and Maya still listened carefully when her daughter coughed. The city still got cold. People still made mistakes. Some managers still needed reminders that change was not a poster on a wall. But Maya no longer felt alone against all of it. That is what compassion can do when it moves beyond a single moment. It does not erase hardship. It puts hands under the weight. For Richard, the months after FreshMart were different. He did not return to the store. He did not receive the promotion he had imagined. His name became part of an internal lesson that no one enjoyed discussing, but everyone needed to remember. It would be easy to end his story with punishment and nothing more. It would be easy to say he got what he deserved and leave it there. But life lessons are deeper when they leave room for responsibility without hatred. Richard had done harm, real harm. He had frightened people, lied about Maya, ignored a child's safety, and used authority to make himself feel important. Losing his role was a consequence. It was necessary. But the larger question was whether he would learn from it. No one else could choose that for him. That is true for all of us. Consequences can open a door, but only humility can walk through it. If Richard ever became better, it would not be because people excused what he did. It would be because he finally faced it honestly. Because he finally understood that respect forced through fear is not respect. Because he finally saw that leadership is not about being obeyed at all costs. It is about becoming trustworthy enough that people can tell you the truth. That is the difference between shame and accountability. Shame says, I was exposed, and I hate the people who saw me. Accountability says, I was wrong, and I must become different. Maya did not spend her new life thinking about revenge. She had too much good work to do, but she did carry the memory as a warning. Any person can become harsh if they confuse pressure with permission. Any workplace can become cruel if people normalize small disrespect. Any leader can lose their way if they stop listening to the quietest people in the room. And any person can choose again. That is why the final lesson of this story is not only be kind, it is deeper than that. Be awake. Be awake to the people around you. Be awake to the power you have, even when it seems small. Be awake to the ways your choices land on someone else's life. Be awake to the temptation to look away because you are tired, busy, afraid, or under pressure. Maya was tired. She was hungry. She was scared. She had every reason to protect herself and keep silent. No one would have blamed her for letting the boy leave. Many people would have called it understandable. Some would have called it smart. But there are moments when smart is too small a word. There are moments that ask us to be brave. Not reckless, not dramatic, not loud. Brave in the quiet way that says, I see what is happening, and I will not pretend I do not. That kind of bravery can live in anyone. A cashier, a parent, a child, a manager, a neighbor, a customer, a person who has $12, a person who has millions. The amount of money changes the options, but it does not decide the heart. The heart is decided one choice at a time. When you hold the door for someone whose hands are full, you practice seeing. When you speak respectfully to someone doing a difficult job, you practice dignity. When you apologize without defending your pride, you practice responsibility. When you help quietly without needing credit, you practice humility. When you notice danger before it becomes tragedy, you practice love. And when you keep your kindness alive through seasons that try to harden you, you practice the kind of strength the world needs most. Maya's $10 bill was not powerful because it was $10. It was powerful because of what it represented. A mother with almost nothing still chose to protect someone else's child. She did not give from abundance. She gave from conscience. That is why the act echoed, not because the boy was wealthy, not because a camera recorded it, not because a company later rewarded it. It echoed because goodness has a weight of its own. Sometimes that weight tips the scale in ways we cannot see yet. For every person listening to this story, there is a simple question waiting quietly at the end. Not what would you do if you were rich? Not what would you do if you knew a camera was watching? Not what would you do if you were guaranteed a reward? The real question is this: who are you when kindness costs you something? Maybe it costs time, maybe patience, maybe comfort, maybe the chance to look important, maybe a little money you had planned for yourself, maybe the courage to speak when everyone else is silent. No one answers that question with words alone. We answer it in the grocery store, in traffic, in our families, at work, online, in the way we talk about people who are struggling, in the way we treat those who cannot help our careers, in the way we respond when someone is inconvenient, vulnerable, or afraid. Maya answered with action. Marcus answered with action. Leo carried the lesson forward with action. And the store changed because enough people finally acted in the direction of dignity. That is how better stories begin. Not with perfect people, but with honest choices. Not with easy circumstances, but with hearts that stay open anyway. Not with speeches about compassion, but with a sandwich placed gently into the hands of a hungry child. So carry this with you. The next person in front of you is not an interruption. They are a human being with a story you may never hear. The tired worker is not just a uniform. The difficult customer is not just a problem. The quiet child is not just a face in the crowd. The person asking for help is not a burden placed in your day by accident. They may be the moment that reveals who you are becoming. Choose carefully. Choose gently. Choose the version of yourself you can live with when the day is over and the room is quiet. Because long after titles fade, long after anger cools, long after applause ends, what remains is the way we treated each other when it mattered. And somewhere, whether anyone sees it or not, one act of kindness may still be moving through the world, warming lives you will never meet, changing rooms you will never enter, and proving that even in the coldest storm, a human heart can still become a shelter. Think about that image for a moment. A storm outside, a bright store inside, a child standing between danger and hunger, a mother behind the counter carrying her own fear, her own bills, her own aching body, and still choosing to care. Nothing about that moment looked grand. No music played, no crowd understood the meaning of what was happening. To most people nearby, it was just a delay at a checkout lane. But life often hides its most important tests inside ordinary delays. A slow line, a wrong order, a tired employee, a child who needs patience, a stranger who asks one question too many, a family member who sounds sharp because they are worried, a coworker who makes a mistake because they are overwhelmed. These moments are easy to dismiss because they seem small, yet they are the places where character quietly takes shape. Richard failed because he believed small people did not matter. He believed a dirty hoodie made a child unworthy of care. He believed a cashier's fear made her easy to control. He believed a badge gave him permission to forget mercy. In the end, every one of those beliefs became evidence against him. Maya succeeded because she believed a small moment still mattered. She believed a child's safety was worth noticing. She believed hunger did not erase dignity. She believed doing right was still right, even when it was inconvenient, even when it was risky, even when no one promised to protect her afterward. That is the heart of this story. It asks us to look at our own daily lives with more honesty. Where have we become too hurried to notice? Where have we become too proud to apologize? Where have we confused rules with wisdom? Where have we allowed fear to make us silent when someone needed our voice? These are not questions meant to shame us. They are questions meant to wake us up. Every person has failed kindness at some point. Every person has been impatient. Every person has judged too quickly, spoken too sharply, or looked away because helping felt complicated. The goal is not to pretend we have always been Maya. The goal is to become a little more like her the next time life gives us the chance. A warmer world is not built only by heroes in extraordinary moments. It is built by ordinary people making ordinary moments safer for each other. It is built by managers who correct without humiliating, parents who listen before they lecture, customers who remember that workers are human, workers who support one another, neighbors who check in, friends who forgive, strangers who pause long enough to see need instead of inconvenience. And when we do have power, even a little, we must use it carefully. Power can protect or it can crush. It can heal a room or make everyone in it smaller. It can open a door for truth, or it can frighten truth into silence. The more power we hold, the more gently we should hold it. Maya's story leaves us with a beautiful kind of challenge. Do not wait until you have more money to be generous. Do not wait until life is easy to be kind. Do not wait until someone important is watching to do what is right. Start where you are, with what you have, in the moment, directly in front of you. Maybe all you have is a kind word. Use it. Maybe all you have is patience. Offer it. Maybe all you have is the courage to say, "This is not right." Say it. Maybe all you have is the ability to notice someone others are ignoring. Notice them. Because the world does not only change through giant decisions made in high offices, it also changes through quiet choices made under fluorescent lights, at kitchen tables, in bus seats, beside hospital beds, and in the small spaces where one human being decides not to abandon another. If this story stays with you, let it become more than emotion. Let it become practice. Let it change the way you speak today. Let it soften the way you judge. Let it strengthen the way you stand up for someone. Let it remind you that kindness is not weakness. Kindness is disciplined strength with a human heart. And if you have ever been Maya, tired, stretched thin, afraid, and still trying to do good, may this story remind you that your compassion matters, even when it is unseen, even when it feels costly, even when no one says thank you right away. The good you do is not wasted. If you have ever been Leo, vulnerable, and hoping someone would notice, may you remember that you are worthy of care. If you have ever held power, use it to protect, not to frighten. If you have ever been hurt, let healing make you wiser, not colder. That is how stories become lessons, and lessons become choices. So when the next storm comes, be the person who brings warmth into the room. See beyond the hoodie, the uniform, the mistake, and the surface. Remember that every life is carrying something invisible. Be the person who helps right where you are, with what you have today. Because sometimes one safe sandwich is not just a meal, it is a message. You matter. I see you. And that message can change everything.